Hey, this is Andrew, and we are back. We were attempting to get the GPTSoVits service to work, and I mean, I still have it running here, but the only issue is that we weren't able to connect to the GPTSoVits server, um, which is on a particular port. I'm just taking a look here. We have 99880. So I guess what we could do, I mean, that's the TTS endpoint. But this thing particularly runs on 9088. But yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to actually access that. But we'll take a look and try one more time for fun. And I'll go ahead and do that. It says detail not found. So unless there's like a route I don't understand, let's go back and maybe let's just read a little bit about how this thing is supposed to work. The GPTSoVits, or however we're supposed to pronounce it. So we'll go back over to here. And I'm going to go here and take a look at this library. And maybe there's something it tells us. So it says a powerful few shot voice conversation text to speech. The demo is here. If we go here, is it just a video? Yeah, it's just a video. You can use the AutoDL Cloud Docker to experience the full functionality online. I actually never even heard of that. I don't even know what AutoDL is. But it sounds like Docker containers maybe in the China region. Specifically, again, focus on the China region here, Mac OS. We have this install Xcode tool lines, FFmpeg. Users here, download this, then do this, run that. Okay, regarding image tags, etc. Docker Compose up to start it up. But how do you access it? As that's what I'm looking for in terms of its information. Double click the bat. Okay. Again, just looking for where it might actually describe how do you access it. Because just because you get a 404 doesn't mean that it's not necessarily working. But I'm going to go over here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to open up this one here and go to its specific logs. And so here we have a 100 here. Another thing that we can check, and I think we already know what it's running on, we'll see a Docker PS. And if we do this here and we bring this on over a little bit, we can see that the service is running on the up here 9088, but we also have it on 9880. So it seems to me like we should be able to access it on the 9880 or even the 988. But I'm going to go back over to here on the left-hand side, and let's take a look at, that was the one we looked at. But also, what if we take a look at this one, view logs? And so here, application started, running on 9088, 404 not found, get help. So it is getting the endpoint, obviously, here. So that kind of makes sense. And then we have this one here, which is that. So I guess the question is like, why is it when I go to here, I don't see it? It's binding on 000, so I mean, that should be sufficient to get it to work. Okay, so go back here. Okay, I'm gonna run a few more of those. And yeah, we're getting 404s. Yeah, how else could we debug that further? Because we need to understand actually how the service works underneath. So maybe we go to the code base, we can take a look and try to make sense of some of it. So if I go over to here, and I go to here, it says it's a web UI, right? So if it's written in a web UI, we should be able to just look at the code and figure that out. Hopefully it's in something that's in Python. And so there's going to be some kind of entry point into the application. Maybe it's webui.py. And I mean, we can see some stuff here. It looks like we have a Gradio interface because we have Gradio being imported here. There is a lot of stuff in here. 000, WebUI port main, quiet true. Yeah, so it's a Gradio interface. That's what it is. But if it is, then why is it not taking that input or request, right? Because it's clearly here. And this one gives a 404, and this one gives a 200. This is the underlying service at the, what port's that one on? The underlying service is on port 9880, right? So if we curl that, let's say curl localhost 9880, we get an internal error. Let's go over to here. Let's take a look. And so now we get an error which is argument type of none type not iterable. And so here it says fast API. So I thought it was using Gradio, unless Gradio uses fast API underneath. And over here it says home user API.py. So there is a file here that we could take a look at. So even though it's a little bit weird, I'm going to go ahead and just, it's not weird, but it's going to be a little bit more work than we should have to figure out here. But I'm going to go into that specific service, which is here, and I'm going to go ahead and attach to shell. Because now we know that there's a file here, right? So if I go here and say cat and cat out this file, we can see the code that's here. What file did I cat out? Was it just api.py? So if I go back over to here to the code here, then I imagine there's a api.py file in here. So maybe you can deploy this in an API mode or a web UI mode, unless it's just the underlying API. And so this is the file in question that is being triggered, right? Here it says TTS endpoint. So we have this here, post. So it's kind of expecting a post to go here to the default route. There could be an API wrapping it. I'm not sure if there is. Okay. So we have a bunch of different flags here. So I think what's happening here is that when we directly curl, it's using the API. So maybe it's not running in the web UI mode, but we can still utilize this service. So we have set model, control, change reference, post, endpoint, so refer to wave path, etc., etc. So I wonder if there's like an example of using this with the API. So just say here, say API example. Let me take a look here and see what I can find. I'm just going to look around, but clearly it's not launching the web UI one, at least to me, because if we're doing that, it's in the API, then that's what's being connected. I wonder how we would know whether it's starting the API mode or not. So if we go back over to the code that was here under TTS, where it is where is it? That's not it. So we'll say GenAI comps. And if we go down to TTS here and we go into our source, there's integrations, right? And they have this one for GPT VOS or whatever. And so the question is, what is it running, right? So let's take a careful look at this file. Like this is the integration to it, which is what the intermediate step is, but maybe it might tell us a bit about it. So we have model name, the name of the model that is to be used. Okay, sure. Involve the TTS service to generate speech for the inputted generation. Okay, so it doesn't tell us a whole lot here. But there's this file down below here, which I think actually is running. This is actually the service underneath running. So maybe this might indicate to what format it's running in here. What's really interesting is that in the entry point here, yeah, it's opening up api.py. Okay, so that's what it's doing. And I guess we're not going to get a web UI version, and that's totally fine. What I want to know more is like, how do I invoke this if I don't know its API? I mean, we obviously can see that in the file there, but maybe we'd have to pull that down to find out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clone this repo. So we'll go ahead and go here and do clone. Because maybe we're just invoking the API incorrectly. It's just a lack of documentation, right? So in here, I'm just going to cd back a few directories. I'll do git clone here, and then we'll clone this repo. And so now what I want to do is just open this repo here. And so we'll go here into free, or the here. And I hope that kept my old one. No, it actually closed out my old one. That's kind of annoying. Which is okay. I mean, like, we can easily switch back to the other one, but I didn't think that it would completely close out the other one. And so it looks like they have an API version 2. But let's focus on 1, right? So that's the new NCP stuff they have here. But we'll go ahead and say, I see that I want to write a curl to, or can you describe to me what API is available here to use in the API.py? Because there's a lot of stuff here, and I mean, like, I was reading through it a bit, but I don't know if there's like other scope stuff. And so let's see if it can uplift some stuff up here for us. I described the API endpoint and functionality using API.py. The fast API-based service that provides the capability. So the main endpoint, that's what we saw, supports both get and post. I didn't see the get, I just saw post. Converts text to using speech provided parameters. So the text to convert to speech, the language, the reference of the wave path to reference audio file. Okay, so basically it'll do text to speech, but at the same time, we can provide the audio file that we want to it. Prompt language. Interesting. So we have ZH-EN-GA, probably for Japanese, KO for Korean, YUE, I'm not sure what that is. ZH, I believe, is Mandarin or Chinese. Used to update the default reference audio setting. Control endpoint. The API supports different audio files. Okay, so let's say I want to create a text-to-speech for English with my referenced audio file. Okay, so let's go ahead. I mean, I want a curl, right? So I'll just ask it again, like, make it a curl. Okay, make it a curl command, okay? And that kind of looks like what they're talking about here. So maybe this is what we need to figure this out. Now, I would have liked this to open in another instance here, but this might be what we need to get this working. So I'm going to go back over to our other project, open recent here. We'll go back over to here. And I'm going to go in here and we'll just say, what is this service called? Something really complicated. Complicated name. GPTSoVits. GPTSoVits. I'm probably going to spell it wrong, but we'll create it here. GPTSoVits. And we'll go ahead and paste it in here. Right? I'm going to go to the top here and copy this. And then I'll go up here and I'll copy this. It wants to go to a very specific port. I think actually it runs on 9880, so that's perfectly fine. We need to refer to a very specific voice thing. Let's just say, hello, my name. Oh, the prompt text. So here I have hello world, the prompt text. This is a new sentence I want to convert to speech. So I'm assuming that this has to be whatever is in this audio file, right? And so we have here, this is a new sentence I want to convert to speech. Yeah, we'll leave that alone. But basically what I need to do is I need to create an audio clip. And I think that they said, like, you can make it with like 10 seconds of audio. So what I need is an audio clip. So just give me a moment. I'm just going to go edit something, one of my videos, okay? All right, I'm back. And so I've recorded this sample and I put the text in here. We'll play it back so you can hear it. I will have this in my repo, so if you want to use the same thing, you can. Because there's so much snow outside, I think I won't go to the office today. And what I'll do instead is stay indoors and make myself some hamburgers and pizza. Does anyone like that idea? Okay, so now I have, I'm not going to save that. I do have it already saved as a wave on my computer, but I'm going to drop this into, I guess, this level directory. So just give me a moment. I had to actually record it again, but I changed the name a little bit here. So we'll go back over to this here, and we will change this to ref. And so I'm hoping it'll take a wave. We can convert it to MP3 if we have to. Don't autocomplete that. Didn't ask it to do that. But now we have a target sentence. So this is a new sentence I want to convert to speech. And so hopefully this actually works. I believe this is still running. It is. And now that we have an endpoint that it is actually expecting, we can skip the OPA one and go directly and hit the direct service and then work our way backwards from there, assuming that it'll even work. But I'm going to go ahead and CD into the correct directory. So that's the OPA comps, and then into the mega service new. Okay. Mega service new. We'll clear this out. And so now what I want to do here is do a chmod u plus x. This will be bin GPTSoVits here. There we go. So go ahead and we will run this now. And it says there's an issue, line unexpected on the thing for matching thing here. So there's some formatting issue. I mean, it looks okay to me, but you know what it probably is? Could be a comma. I don't think it is, but this thing starts with a comma here. So I think it's because we have to escape all these here. So we have to do this, and then go to the next one here, and do this. Yeah, and do that. I wonder if that would fix this issue. Nope. And you know, like how do we fix the, we'll just go back to here. We'll go to right. So, and I'll say GPTSoVits, I have an escaping issue because of the single quotes. Let's see if it can solve it for us. That's our problem. I don't know if that's our problem. It's weird that sometimes like it doesn't take up, but whatever. Okay, how about rejects? Shut up. Okay, we'll go over to here. Just fix. Okay. Yeah. We'll give it a moment. Oh, that's cool. There's another way of formatting it. I didn't know we could do that. Do we lose our output? Do we lose our output? Okay, that might be interesting. I've never seen that format before, but if it works, I would be quite impressed. Okay, so that's just an alternate way of doing it. Interesting. We need the EOF on the end here. Yeah, like that. Perfect. Okay, so now we have this stranger format. But let's go see if this actually works. So do bin, whoops, clear. Clear. I don't know why it's acting kind of weird now. It's back to normal. Bin GPT-VOS. Curl transfer code without standing. Does that mean we got an output back? Doesn't mean it worked, but we might have got an output back. Did we get an output back? I don't see one. Maybe we got to refresh this. No, I don't think so. So let's go over to Docker here, and we'll go into this one here and then view the logs. So no such file directory, Andrew ref.wave. I mean, I guess so, but like how else would it have that path. I would think that when it starts up that it has to mount to some kind of directory and be shared from there. Otherwise, how else would it access it? So what we'll do is we'll go back over to the code and we'll take a look at the Docker implementation. But at least now it's going to a place that looks correct. And so this is the Docker file that spins up the service, the underlying service. And so what I'm looking for here is if there's anything about like mounting or sharing directories. It wouldn't be in here. It would be in our actual Docker file that we have. So if we go back over to here and we take a look at our Docker file. I'm just going to switch to standing. I've been sitting too long here. But we will switch over to this. And so maybe in here, there's some way that it's being synced, right? We'll give her a second to go up here. Okay. And not sure why my head's a bit cut off here, but we'll just adjust that a little bit. There we go. Okay, and so obviously we're starting to get our curl here, but I'm not sure where it's trying to open this file, right? Because I thought when we pass it here, we are passing the payload over there. But maybe what we need to do is we need to provide our sample at the time of when it starts up. So if we go back over to here to the API call, we can see that it says default refer path welcome cn.wave. So where is this file? So I'm going to go back over to here. I'm going to go to Docker. I'm going to go ahead and right click and we're going to go attach cell and we'll do an ls. And in here, we can see we have the code and it has one sitting right here, right? So I think that if we want this to work, we're going to have to bring that file over. So maybe we can mount a directory. So we'll go here and I'm going to go ahead and ask the chat. How do I mount a local volume directory to this container? Right? Now, obviously volumes. So we'll give it a moment here. And now we can see that it's mounting a very specific directory. So added a volumes mounted directory. Is it really that simple? That'd be nice. Sorry. So we have audio, app audio, right? So I added a volume section that will mount a local directory relative to your Docker Compose file called audio. Oh, that's really convenient. So we have app audio. If we go back over to here, we have app audio. So go ahead and make a new file. I mean, this never really turned out, so we just kind of ignored that. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to make a new, a new directory called audio. We'll go try that again here. It's I'm not sure why my clicking's all messing up here, but we'll try this again. And I'll right click and we'll say new folder. And where's the new folder? It's acting kind of weird. I'll have to make it off screen here. I'm just navigating to the folder manually. It's giving us some trouble. And so we'll go into this one here. And in here, there should be this. Into here, we'll make a new folder called audio. And then what I can do is bring in this audio file here. And so now, instead of doing this, I'll just say audio, audio. So now we have that specific directory, right? And so it looks like it's going to map it to a directory that is just like at the base level, I think. So what we're going to do now is go over to here and we'll stop our mega service. It's not really a mega service yet because we haven't really orchestrated it, but the point is that we're working with this component here. We'll wait for that stuff to stop. And once it's stopped, then we will start it up again. We could probably done a restart, but I don't always trust the restart, so that's why I don't do it that way. And we'll just open another tab here. We'll close this one out. This one, that's logs. This one is an old one here. And we'll say, where are we going? We're going into OPEA comps, mega service new. And we're going to do a, how are we going to start this up? It's going to be something, something, something. Docker compose up. There we go. Docker compose up. We're going to up those here. It's now should be running, assuming we didn't get any errors. We'll make sure that it works by going over to here. This means that these are restarting, which is not normally a good indicator. But now they're running. So I'm going to mount to the underlying service, which is here, I believe. And now that we're in here, we'll do an ls, okay? But I want to go here and see if there's now an audio directory. So I don't see in here an audio directory, right? So I'm not sure. So I'm trying to autocomplete. I'm not sure if that actually worked. Because maybe that audio directory needs to already exist, right? So maybe there's some other place that we could mount that. I'm not particularly sure, but we'd have to modify the underlying thing before that happens. I'm going to go ask, like, if the directory does not exist in the container, does it have to be created first? Or will the volume mounted automatically create that volume? Docker will automatically create the mount point in audio inside there. However, you do need to make sure you have that audio directory. I mean, we do absolutely have that one. This one says absolute path and then your app audio, what's in the interior. So left side is your local path. Right side is app audio inside there. Okay. So, I mean, if that's the case, you know, that should have mounted. But we're here, and unless I'm in the wrong container, this says TT. Oh, I'm in the wrong service. I am. So that's my problem. So we'll go ahead and we'll stop this. Not a big deal. It's a little bit hard to see what we're doing, right? So we'll cut this out. We'll go to the top, and then we'll paste it in here instead. And so now we should actually get a mount once it stops and restarts. I'm going to just turn my light a little bit down. It's kind of blinding me here today. There we go. That's a bit better for me. And so now that it's stopped, we're going to go ahead and make sure this file is saved. I'm going to close out this tab and this tab. We will go and stop this. We'll hit Docker Compose up. And so now it should be mounted to the correct directory. So we'll wait for those to get in a running state. And then we'll take a look here. I just think it'd be really cool to be able to clone my voice. Again, maybe not the best cloner, but just being able to do it seems really, really fun. And so now that we have that running, let's go ahead into that and we'll say attach shell into, yeah, this one here, attach shell. And so we'll do ls, and I want to go to the root. And now we have the audio directory, and there it is. So now we can reference it. So if we go back over to here into our message here, and this is kind of unusual because you'd think like you'd want to be able to reference it, but maybe there's another one that actually will allow us to upload. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go here. As long as it works, I don't care. But like we'll go here and do this. And so now we have a means to reference it. So I'm going to close this out. And I do want to open up the log specifically for this one as we want to observe what happens. But I'll go up to our first tab here and we'll do bin. My microphone's a little bit down here. Bin GPT boss. And so it looks like it's doing something. The fact that it's delayed is a good indicator that it might be working. So it is getting the data. It's unzipping the average. It's doing stuff. Yeah, it must be working. And there it's going. Now, again, I'm not using GPUs. I'm just using CPUs for whatever I have. And so hopefully it is good enough for this to do it. This would be something to be interesting to test on the IPC, but again, I'm not exactly sure. I think that it got back its response. Did it? It did. So now in here, we should have an outputted file. Refresh here. I don't see one. Where's the output? Maybe we go over here. We can find it over here. Here it is. Where did it go? It went into, oh, it's in the mega service new. Okay. Maybe it's just a bit hard to see because we have so many files. There it is right here.
This is a new sentence I want to convert to speech.
That's, I mean, it worked, but why do I sound like a cartoon villain?
This is a new sentence I want to convert to speech. This is a new sentence I want to convert to speech.
So I would not say that it sounds like me, but at the very least we got it to work. And this could be just what like we have to provide as a quality sample. So if we go back over to this thing, which is called GPT Oh, it needs 1 minute of audio. I gave it 10 seconds. I don't know. So it says here, input of 5-second vocal sample experience instant text to speech conversion. Technically did work. Fine tune the model with just 1 minute of training data for improved voice similarity and realism. Yeah, I think I want something that's a little bit more realistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe try 1 minute audio and then we will see the improvements here. But I'll go back over to our code here. And this one is obviously, I mean, it worked. Like you can't say it didn't work, but it was a little bit goofy sounding, right? So we'll go here and this will be 10 seconds. And so now what I'll do is I'll go record. I'll have to write a little script here. But we'll say, we'll go over to here to Claude. Write me a audio script that is, 1.2 minutes long for me to read. So we'll go over to here and I'm just generating this out. And that way I can just exactly read it exactly as the same thing. Just the script. Just the script. Just the words I have to say. I'm really bad at reading things too, so it'll sound a bit odd, but it'll probably work. Just if it sounds a little bit more similar to me, it'd be interesting. I guess I'm doing a guided meditation, so I'll be back here and just record my guided meditation. All right, so I just recorded a 1 minute, just shy of 1 minute audio recording. There was a bit of a little mess up in the middle, so hopefully that won't affect too much, but you really have to get these things really clean to get a good reference. But now we're at 1 minute. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go over to here and we're gonna swap this out and we'll say 1 ms, right? Or 1 minute, right? Okay, and so now we can go ahead and I think that directory is mounted. I'm not sure if that other one would show up still as we just added the file, but we can go take a look. If we haven't stopped it, let's go into the actual container because then we don't have to restart it and that'd be kind of annoying if we have to. We'll go into our audio directory here and it is here, so we can just run it again. Perfect. Okay, and so now it's obviously a lot bigger, but the only thing I don't have here is the prompt text. So I'm gonna go back over, I'll keep this one here. So we don't have to, you know what I should do is let's call this one the 1 minute. 1 min. And then I will copy and paste that. And so this one will be the 10 second. Because you probably need I don't know if you need it, but we'll keep in the prompt text so there's less of an issue. So this one would be the 10 seconds. Right, and so then this one's going to be the 1 minute. And so I'll go find Claude, wherever that is. Guided meditation. I'm not sure why anyone would want guided meditation from me, but it is in there if anybody wants it. So we'll go ahead and just modify this. So I'll paste this in like this. So here is our text. I just going to make it all one line, so it's a little bit easier here. That's what it's supposed to be, I think. There was a hyphen in there. I don't think that's supposed to be there. I don't want it to do anything, so I'm going to ignore it for now. And so in here, I think there was like a character that really shouldn't be in there, like a hyphen. So I'm going to just make sure I find it. Maybe we can wrap this for a second, word wrap. Maybe not. Maybe I thought, oh, there it is right there. There we go. So we'll take that out of there. So now we have our new prompt. It is very long, but it's what we need. And we need our closing one here. So we'll go here and close it and then do comma. So hopefully it doesn't mind that we did that whole thing there. So this is the latest sentence I want to convert to speech. And so I would expect this would take a little bit longer than the last one, but we'll go here and we'll have to chmod the other file maybe. Chmod, I'm not sure which one, so I'll just chmod them both. U plus X, and we'll say bin GPT 10 seconds, and then we have the 1 minute, okay? So now I want to go ahead and run the 1 minute one, and so hopefully that is okay. And if we go to our logs here, we can see that it is processing. I think we deleted the other output. It'd probably been smart if we kind of named the output here. So one is output 1 min, and then the other one here is 10 seconds. But since I think I deleted the other one, I think it'll be less of an issue. If it sounds exactly the same, then we know that the problem is there. I think it just finished. We'll go ahead and give this a refresh. And we have an outputted file. And all I get is an empty breath. So I'm not sure. Maybe it didn't finish. Because we're not tailing the logs here. Oh, yeah, right here we are. So I'm not sure about that. That didn't really work as expected. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one out. Let's go back and play this audio file. Where was it here? In the audio. Here. Something's not saved. We'll go here. Just play it. Welcome to this guided meditation on finding inner peace. Okay, so the audio is definitely there. We'll go back over to this, to the bin file here. And I mean, we obviously have a lot of text prompt. But we do have English here, and I don't think there's a problem. So what I'm going to do, as a sanity check, I'm just going to stop compose, and I'm going to bring it back up. I mean, it's there. It should work. But I'm not sure why we got a blank, and it obviously wants us to have 1 minute of speech. If all it works is the 10 seconds, that's fine. But if we can get the 1 minute to work, that'd be fun. So now that is stopped. We'll go over to here. I'll do a Docker compose up. That'll remount the directory. I'm just going to go ahead and kill these two. I'm going to wait for this to get running. We'll give this a refresh here until we see it. And I will right click into this one here and we will view the logs. And so I believe that it is ready. We'll go over to here and we'll hit up. So now we should actually get the outputted files based on their name. So this is the 1 minute one that we were doing. And it got the post. Okay. It looks like it produced back a result. It says 1% here. So I'm assuming like that is its progress to, okay, it says decoding now. I'm not sure how we're supposed to know when it's done based on this. Maybe it was still going and we just were impatient. So I do see that output. I'm going to just wait a little while because I'm not really confident whether it actually finished or not because it might be still dumping it. I can't imagine that it would be that fast. If it is, that'd be really cool. But, you know, I'm curious. Like if I go to my sites here and I go to FreeGen AI, I'm doing this off screen right now. And we go to our new mega service here and we look at it. That just seems too small, right? Like there's no way that's right. Is there like a refresh button on here? Like how do we refresh? Is there? Command R? Is it getting any bigger? No, it's not. So yeah, I just get a blank one. That's no good. What if we tried the old one? So we'll go here and we'll say 10 seconds. Does this one work?
This is a new sentence I want to convert to speech.
Okay, so it does. So then what's the problem? Because clearly the audio is fine here. Like, is it too long and it's not able to handle it because I'm running on my CPUs? Like, how would I know? I don't even know how we would know. Another thing we could check, because it does use TTS underneath, maybe we should be taking a look here and viewing the logs here. I mean, I don't see it doing anything here, so I'm not really sure if that's the case. But give me a moment here. I'm going to try something out. See, now I think our problem is that we don't have clear logging into what's happening here. There's no way for us to test. And the only way we could test is if we were to pull the original repo. So basically, any of these things that we use, we really do have to have better understanding of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just stop, compose stop here. And I'm going to go and, well, actually, I think we already have it here. But if we go over to this one here, we already have this repo cloned. And so I noticed that they had a couple notebooks in here for inference. So if we go here, we can actually see that they actually have one for inference. And my question is like, if I have my audio clip, could I test it here in this way? But let's take a look if this is too complicated. So here it talks about all the things that it has to install and the requirements, the pre-trained models. It's cloning a lot of stuff. I don't feel like it should need all this stuff. And then we're doing this. Yeah, that's not the best way I was hoping to run this. Obviously, there's a Docker Compose file in here, so we could run it this way as well. But that's not going to help us either. And we do have a web UI. So what could be the problem here is the question. That's what I can't tell. All I'm thinking is like it's running out of resources when it's running. That's what I'm thinking. But the container itself, we would have to modify it to actually do what we want. So if we go back over to our old code base, no, I don't know. Like, yeah, we're using the API, which is fine. Right, so we're here. It handles the request here. Return handle. Which is up here. We have a streaming response. Okay. Good question. Good question. I think that something's going wrong, right? Like, yeah, this code looks pretty meaty. Get TTS wave. So maybe somewhere in here, something's happening, right? And that's why it's not working. There's a version 2 API. I kind of just wonder if we use the other API, if it's more robust and gives us better information back. It's definitely a little bit different, which is fine. But I guess I just don't understand why this didn't work. Good question. I guess I'll go look at the forums and see what I can find. But if we can't get it to work, it's fine. Like, obviously, I got the 10-second one to work, but, it might be too hard to debug this. Like, it's not that I can't debug it. It just might take me literally days, and it might not be worth our time. But let me give me a second, okay? I'm noticing here they're saying like testing native English has to be of whatever. So I wonder if there could be like characters that could be messing it up. If we go back over to our last one that we had, because it might be the transcript that is causing the issue. Again, I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing here at this point. But if we go back over to here and we take a look at the 10-second one, I mean, it has commas and it has a question mark and period. So that makes me think that's not probably our problem. I guess the question is like, can it work with a longer than 1 minute? So we go back to here. With just 1 minute of training, okay. But yeah, they've clearly done a lot of work here, but there's just not good debugging or error handling. So if something goes wrong, how would you know? And there's no like logging information in this. I mean, there's clearly, other tools that we can use here. But yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to fix this. Let's go take a look here. Maybe we can go back here for a second and I can go into our, into the forks or stuff. Sometimes people will fix these things indirectly. Contributors. I'm trying to find other branches. Forks, maybe? Forks, here we go. That doesn't really help. Contributors. There's usually like a network or graph, or is this it? That's what I'm looking for. Today, GitHub's really, really slow, but you know what I'm looking for is a graph. Here we go. Okay, so we have here. Yeah, it's really hard to say what's going on in here. It doesn't help that I do not know Chinese. So yeah, I think this is out of scope. I would love to get this to work 100%, but the only thing that we could also do is just before we move on is let's make sure that this works, the 10-second one, to the actual endpoint that we want, because we're really supposed to be going through the Intel service to access this, or the, I'd say Intel service, OPEA service here. So if I go up to here, we have this endpoint, and so the other one's on, we have 9880, and the other one's on 9081, I think. So we'll go down here, and if it still works, then we're in good shape. I'm gonna just go ahead and delete this out. But we will go over to here to our Docker Compose file. And in here we have 9088, which is the one that we're proxying through. So we'll try this. We'll say 9088. I would assume that it would take the same endpoint, right? I could be wrong. I don't know. But we'll go ahead and give this a try. So am I running this right now? I am running only part of it for some reason. So we'll go ahead and we'll just, whatever is here, we'll just say stop. And I'll go back up to here and we will CD into the OPA comps. Make a service new. And we will go into audio maybe here. Oh, sorry, no. Docker Compose up. So we'll do Docker Compose up. I know the font's small. I'm just trying to get to work here. And once that's up, we'll give this a refresh here. And so we'll do ls, OPA comps, make services new. But yeah, none of this stuff is complicated. It's just that a lot of the code out there is just cobbled together and no one's ever going to improve it and make it easier for folks to use. And that's usually the challenge with these third-party libraries. But, you know, again, you're seeing what OPA is doing. It's just providing a layer that wraps it and provides, you know, additional tracking and things like that. But when it comes to that base service, it can't do that because that has to be integrated into that base service. But let's go ahead and take a look here. So we'll type in clear and I'll say Docker, or not Docker, but we'll do bin GPT 10. And I think I've changed it out to, yeah, 9088. So that's the other one. And so if we run that, if it still works, then we're in good shape. We will give this a refresh and we still get an audio output. Now, maybe it didn't finish loading that file. I mean, it did create one. So I'm not sure. If we go back over to here and we check the actual underlying service, did it get a request? It doesn't look like it got one. View the logs here. We get a 404. So maybe what it's doing is it's doing some kind of translation of what the endpoint is. So if we go back over to here, so what I'm going to do is go and fix this to whatever it was before. We're going to copy this. I'll make a new one. This will be called GPTSoVits TTS. And we'll paste it in here. Because this obviously is a little bit different. And this is on 9088. And so to understand this, we'd actually have to go and look at the code, right? And we see here, we have to go under integrations, I guess, into this. And look for the endpoints that's here. So this one's going 9088, right? Specialized TTS, okay, that's fine. But what route do we expect it to be? That's the question. So normally what you do is you register a service with its endpoint. So if we go down to the main one, maybe there's a register in this one. Here it is. And it's right here. So I think what we need to do is actually use this endpoint, and that's what it actually wants. And I guess like if you're using TTS or the other one, that also kind of normalizes it. So now we can go ahead and put this in here now. And so maybe that is what we need to do. All right, so this one will stay the same from before, but this one will actually be that one. And so now we'll go back over to here. Okay, we'll go ahead and we will stop this. Oh, that was the wrong thing. It's just logs. But doesn't matter about the logs there, but we'll go back and we will now delete this. This obviously is a junk file, so we'll go ahead and delete that. We'll go ahead and hit up to, oh, that's the wrong one. That's not what I wanted to do. I mean, it is working because it's going to the right endpoint, but it's not what we wanted to hit. We wanted to hit the other one. Like,
This is a new set.
yeah, obviously that's the wrong kind of Andrew, but we'll go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to go chmod u+x bin TTS, right? And so we'll do this instead, like this. Okay, and so now we have that outputted audio there. But really what we want to do is just check the logs here and see if it followed it along. So if we go to here, to the view logs here, unprocessable entity. So at least we were getting somewhere here. Now, that's the endpoint that it's supposed to go to, but it's saying it doesn't like it for some reason. That's totally fine. Let's continue on and see if it actually made it to the actual service here. And it didn't. So it did not reach here. So there's something it doesn't like about it. Maybe because it's a post instead of a get, right? Even though the underlying one takes a post or a get, I suppose. I don't know if it specifies here. Like what? Like is it supposed to be a post or is it supposed to be a get? We don't know. It's very easy to change this to a get, I suppose. But how would we know what it's supposed to take here? Input speech. Audio speech request. There's also like the format of what we're expecting this to be. So here we have audio speech request, and we have this class over here. And so in here we see input model voice response format speed. This is completely different, right? So obviously that's the format that we have here. We'll go back to this service here. Right? But it's expecting that format. So maybe our problem, that's why it's saying 422, is because this is not formatted in the format that it wants it to be. So if we go back over to here, we see the model, the voice, the response, and the speed. So, and then we have the input. Well, how would that work? Because it's not going to have all the fields, right? So if it doesn't have the text field, how would it know, like the prompt text to know what the transcription is? Would it even be able to produce it? And that's something I don't know. So if we go back over to here. Yeah, and over here, it seems like they have a reference over here. What's this? Model input. Okay, so they're kind of standardizing on that format here. That's fine. Model input voice response format. So yeah, it's not clear how that translation would work. I mean, we just have to follow through the code to figure it out. So we have text to speech, which is fine. OpenTTS. Well, let's go back for a second. OpenTTS. Let's go back to the integrations and see what it does. Is it's override? Invoke the model. Request the voice. But to me, it's incomplete. So anyway, I'm going to leave it here. My point is that we did get the underlying audio thing to work, but you can see, like, if we just did plain text to speech, this would be pretty simple. But since we're trying to not just do that, but trying to do voice replication, we have to do a lot more digging to figure out where it is. What we can try to get to work is we can try to match exactly the format of that model that we just saw, because that's all it's doing there. But the issue is, like, I don't know what it's going to use as the text audio, and I think basically it's hard-coded to not actually pass a voice along. Because when we go back over to our actual TTS file here, into our deployment, into the Docker Compose file, into here, no, not here, sorry, if we have to go back another step, back into the TTS, and we go into source here, into the integrations, dependencies, into here, and we look at this Docker file, we can see the default refer text and the stuff like that. I know this probably won't fix it, but I wouldn't mind trying one little thing before we go here as an experiment. It probably won't do anything, but I just figured I might as well try it. What if we cut some of the text out for the long one here? So you have this, like, really long text here. I'm just going to go ahead and truncate it. Like, this is not going to help it, but I'm going to go ahead and just do this for a second. And we'll go back over to here. And then we'll run the 1 minute one. I mean, that's not going to fix our other problem, but I'm just curious. This one seems to be doing a lot better. That makes me think that there's an issue with the prompt text. Maybe there's just so many words in the prompt text, and that's why it's having an issue. No, it's all messed up. So I'm not exactly sure what the problem is there. I'm going to go undo the change I just made there. Oops, here. Whoops. Here. Nope. Here. Undo. Okay, so that one's fine. I'm kind of messing up all my files now. But it was the 1 minute one. I'm just trying to go back to the 1 minute one. Here. And we will just put that back in there. So yeah, not exactly sure what the issue is, but clearly the 10-second one works. There isn't a deeper issue in the 1 minute one. In order to really test that, we'd have to get the local code working. That's way too much work. I can do it. If I have 3 days and I have all the time in the world, I can do it. But then when we get that done, then we still have to debug why it's not doing that. And so I guess the thought is, like with OPA, that OPEA, that's actually how they want it to be pronounced. I know, it's crazy. But you know, even if you use these components, you still have to understand the underlying stuff and be able to debug it and troubleshoot it. Otherwise, you're not going to get perfect results. If the use cases are perfect for you, then it's fine. Obviously, I'm trying to do very specific custom things. At least we have the bones around it, so we know that once we do have the underlying stuff working, we can do that. But without knowing how to work with the underlying stuff to do that, that's always going to be a roadblock for folks. But yeah, it just depends on what you're building. Obviously, there are managed services that can do this a lot easier, but I love the idea of being able to know exactly how these things work and maybe take them further or get exactly the results that you want where managed services might not allow you to do it. But, you know, you choose your poison when you work on these things, and we'll call this one done, okay?